question.
Yes, sir.
This may not necessarily be appropriate, but
Well, we're
Is
big
that-
on inappropriate, it's not a problem.
considering the way that you're requesting that we write,
Mhm.
is there a particular citation format you would like us to use, or maybe perhaps I missed that on Canvas?
Do you want just a URL, or
You
do
get-
you
you-
want to?
Give me a URL, give me something I can use. I don't
You
care
just click
about,
on it and it goes to page.
what's the, what, APA?
MLA.
Sixth edition.
MLA. Personally, I never learned that. I learned how you're supposed to do it in 8th grade, and it got me all the way through a master's degree.
Yeah.
So as long as I can read your document and from that go to your citations, I don't care about format.
I have a book
Jimmy, if you would
on,
just-
I have a book on writing research papers, depending on your major. Different style for each major. If anyone wants to buy, no. What I'm getting at is, that's useful, again, well, there are places where that's useful, but what we're trying to get at is to teach you the skills to be successful, and that's not necessarily going to teach you the skills to be successful as a HR manager or business manager, or any of those kinds of things.
And most of us, if we ever have to write a paper that has to be according to a certain format, what are we gonna do? Go call mom,
Yeah.
or somebody who knows about those formats. We're gonna go teach ourselves.
Dr. Google.
Sorry?
Talk to Dr. Google.
Dr. Google, exactly.
So would you prefer just an inline, this is a URL, or a footnote at the bottom, or?
I prefer it right there while I'm reading, personally. I hate to be looking at footnotes and, you know, references at the end of the chapter and stuff like that. Limited function mind.
Same here, by the way.
You just want plain Times New Roman and 12.
Personally, and Jimmy, I'd love to hear your views. Do you know what a sans serif font means?
Yes, no feet.
No feet, yeah. It doesn't, the letters don't have these little ticks on the end of them. My favorite font is Arial. It's sans serif. It's very simple to read. When I see Times New Roman now, it causes me some angst just in reading the words, much less understanding them. So I'm asking you for sans serif. Arial is a good one, a common one.
Great minds think alike. I prefer Arial, but what works. But I prefer Arial.
And while we generally say double-spaced and 12-point font, you adjust that as well, right? To make that document look good, if you need to shrink the margins a little bit,
Right.
if you need to double space between paragraphs, if you need to shrink down to an 11-point font, certainly no problem. Probably a 10-point if you had to,
Right, Arial 12-point is the same as Times 10-point, I think.
times 10-point. Yeah.
No, the other way around. Arial 10-point is the same as
Some-
Times 12.
Yeah, Arial takes up more space.
Yes.
Yeah. Which must be the reason it's easier for old men to read it. Some old men. Okay, what else? Anything else? You want
Shall I?
to? Oh, yes, sir.
Sorry, got one more.
Sure.
Any particular off-limit sources?
I'm sorry?
Off-limit sources, places we shouldn't use to do research?
No.
Such as Wikipedia. I've got crucified once in the class because I said, Wikipedia mentioned this, and she was
What
like,
kind, what kind of class was it?
psychology.
This is where I'm coming from. This is business. It's not just business. Not business for a profit. This is management. This is how to get things done through people. And I am very, very big on function over form. I don't particularly give a damn how you do it as long as it's legal and ethical. As long as it gets the job done, preferably in the most efficient way. I frankly am considering teaching an entire course in microeconomics using nothing more than Wikipedia and my videos. Because most of Wikipedia, and certainly the things I'm reading about basic level economics, is right on the button. So off-limit sources, no. If it looks like it's a questionable source, let me know. I found this in one source, I'm not sure of its validity. Okay. Whatever works.
How are you two gentlemen grading? Like, does one do WA1 and one of you does WA2? Do you?
You're going to get some probably variation in the way we grade.
Will each of you be grading each of our, will you, Professor Strickland, do part of my papers and?
No. Now, when you got your comments back on WA1, did you see who made them, whether it was me or Jimmy? So you should see that in the future. And you'll know that, boy, this guy thought I was great, you know? Oh, that was Mr. Williams. This guy's an SOB. He doesn't like much of anything from Strickland, okay? And you'll see the differences. Hopefully, we'll each grade an equal amount, and nobody will be discriminated against that.
There you go.
Maybe. Final grades are much simpler than that. We simply go down the roster and go like them, don't like them.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, you just gotta stroke Strickland's ego, that's all it is.
Don't finish it, man. You got through it after the third try.
Exactly.
Come on.
Third try.
Looking at the first competency that you all are going to do, there were a couple of things that kind of jumped out at me. It was kind of funny to me. Took me back to when I was where you all are. You know, there's this whole issue of values and the value statement that you're going to have to do. And really, a lot of that is finding out who you are, so to speak. Professor Strickland talked about a book. It was called Dressing for Success. And amazingly enough, people really don't take that into consideration nearly as much as they can. So I just happened to go to my old bookshelf and find this book that I bought years ago. It's by the same person, Mr. John T. Malloy. It's called Dress for Success. This is the updated version. This was in 1985, an updated version. But the things that he talks about in this book are just as true today as they were then. There's actually a version that is specifically for women. It's called Dress for Success for Women. Just a couple of little things. I dogtail a couple of pages. I wanted to point a couple of things out. This is just a man in the back. He'll get this. It says, "Never underestimate the power of a haircut." In many instances, how your hair is cut communicates who you are and what you stand for and those kinds of things. It says, "I'm frequently asked if there are any traits common to all successful," it says executives here, but we're talking about all managers. There are, most definitely are. They always have their hair combed neatly, and their shoes are in good condition and shined. Back years ago, when I was in the dating scene, I had a couple of young ladies tell me that they could tell whether they were interested in a man by looking at their shoes. So, little things like that. There's a section in here for, a specific section for minorities. Some advice for minorities. And just a quick sentence here. It says, African Americans need to dress more conservatively, but also, and this is not so cool, more expensively than their counterparts if they want to have an equal impact. There are lots of little tidbits of stuff in here. A lot of it you can use, a lot of it toss it away, but it's a guide.
Can I continue that for a minute?
Sure.
I think that's one of the best books around. Not because, as you say, not because it's the gospel truth, but it, by golly, makes you start thinking about things. And I run into students all the time. They'll say, "Well, look, you know, how I dress is not a big deal. Once people get to know me," wait a minute, Miss Brett, I'm not going to get to know you. You look like a clown. Next. Okay.
First impression.
Couple of questions. What's better on men? What is connoted when you wear a brown outfit versus a black outfit?
Brown.
Brown looks casual? What about shirts? What do you think about a white shirt on a man?
Howard shirt.
Hmm?
Howard.
If when you take pure black and pure white and you put those together with just about any decent tie, you've got a power suit. You've got somebody who's going to come across as competent, credible, authority on what he's talking about. If instead you dress in browns and camel colors and stuff like that, you come across, within that first 10 to 30 seconds, you come across as more approachable.
Right.
True story. I had a student many years ago, Vietnam veteran, who was having flashbacks. Had flashbacks one night and, unfortunately, killed his wife. He stood trial for second-degree murder. He was a good guy. I don't know what happened to him. I know he had some tough times in Vietnam. But he came to me, he says, "I'm going on trial in a month or two for murder. You got any suggestions on what I should wear?" I said, put on some casual camel color type colors and be as personable as you can be and sincere, because you're not trying to be an authority. Your appearance can convey so much in those first few seconds, and it can color everything else that the person hears about you after that. Women, how large should your earrings be?
Not large.
Size of a dime, no more. You want an interesting book, pick up the Walt Disney employee guide on dress. Boy, you will follow those to the narrow specific, or you will leave. How long should a woman's hair be?
Should be tied back.
Malloy's position, and I'm not an authority on that. Malloy's position is shoulder length, give or take. Okay, that's all. What color should you never wear in a suit?
Red.
Green. In business. Okay. Yeah. And he does all kind of tests. Here's the kind of tests he does. Malloy himself got out there in Union Station, where people are getting ready to catch the trains up there, and he's out there wearing. The first time he's wearing nothing but a shirt, no tie, slacks, and shoes, and he's panhandling. People are walking by and he's saying, "Excuse me, I lost my wallet. Can I borrow $3 to get the train home?" And he did that all afternoon. And he counted up his money at the end of the day, and he went back a week later in a suit and did the same thing. "Excuse me, I've lost my wallet. Could you spare $3 to help me get home?" And he like tripled his income just by the way he dressed. He was more credible. He would do things like he would wait for some guy in a suit going into a building, and he would time it so he got there at the same time and see how the guy behaved. And if he was dressed casual, no coat, no tie, the guy almost always would just walk right past him. As soon as you started putting on a coat and tie, when they get there together, the guy would go, "Oh, go ahead." They treat you, and if you don't think they treat you different, I've been on this campus for 34 years. I have worn everything from cowboy boots and blue jeans and t-shirts to what you're seeing now. And I vary it over time. And I got to tell you, you get treated different. People perceive you differently. They give you more or less credibility. So I think Malloy's book, for the one for men, the one for women, as old as it may be, should be on your bookshelf.
Absolutely. Just a final point on that. From personal experience, the way you see me dressed now for the last 30 years, this is the way I dressed every day at work, except on Fridays when we had casual Friday, when I dressed in nice slacks and a shirt with the company logo on it. But you still communicating that professionalism. The other thing we talked about was getting to know yourself. And again, going back through some of the stuff, I found some things that you might consider. We all kind of have this feeling of who we are and you know what we like and what we don't like and what our personality is. But it really helps sometimes to have validation, if you will, and sometimes you get some insight that you don't know you have. So, as an example, I'm going to talk about some things that are out there. Some of these can be found in the public library. Others, if you can't find them in the public library, what's his name? Dr. Google. Those kinds of folks, you can find these. Many of them are free, and if not, they're nominal cost. There's the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Everyone's heard that. It's all about your temperament, so to speak. This one actually has to be administered by a professional. It's called the Hogan Motives, Value, and Preferences Inventory. This one is called the Kuder, K-U-D-E-R, Occupational Interest Survey. The Strong Vocational Interest Blank. And finally, the Career Directions Inventory. All of these are things that, again, can give you some insight into who you are, what your preferences are, what your temperament is. As an example, a couple of these things suggested that I should be a clergyman or a funeral director.
Amen.
But anyway, so, yes.
I had a quick question. If both of you wouldn't mind, have you taken the Myers-Briggs, and what is your personality temperament?
Do you remember yours?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You're way ahead of me.
I'm ESFJ.
ESFJ?
Yeah. Extroverted, sensing,
Feeling, judging.
feeling and judging.
Okay, I'm an ISTJ. What about you, Mr. Strickland, do you remember?
Let me tell you this, the Myers-Briggs type indicator has 16 different
Yeah.
outcomes,
Yeah.
16 permutations.
Yeah.
I can't remember those. I think I was an INFJ, but I have no clue what that meant.
Yeah.
When you come in here 2 weeks from tonight, I'm going to ask you to bring $5 to help me pay the cost, and we're going to administer the DISC profile.
Yes.
It's very similar to Myers-Briggs in a way, but it's only got 4 different types instead of 16. It's very easy to assimilate, very easy to apply, and you'll be doing a competency based on it later.
And it's much more applicable to the world of work than
Absolutely.
the Myers-Briggs
You know,
is.
Myers-Briggs, there's just too many for me to figure out. You know, what are you? Oh, damn, I can't even remember me.
It's the one where you get a certain number for your D, a certain number for your
Yeah.
I.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll be strong in 1 or 2 of those, and we'll see what that means and how, as a result, you interact with other people with different styles and how you can improve that. Yes, ma'am.
You can do for free on Discover or Jimmy Allen or Hers or something.
The ones that I've found for free are abbreviated, and they're usually, you can finish them in about 2 minutes. This one is,
A little bit
I think,
more-
much deeper and better. If you can't come in and do that, then I'll send you to the free ones. I think you'll get partial feedback that way. So that's your call for everybody to do. Okay?
It should be after disbursement too, so
I'm sorry?
it should be after financial aid.
After financial aid. If $5 is a hardship, you don't pay for it. Don't worry about it. Sir?
Have you ever heard of the Strengths Finder book by
Yes.
Tom Rath?
One of the best books out there, Strength Finder. Another good look at yourself and where your strengths are and what to do with it.
All of these things will help with this whole value.
So listen to some of the terminology we were using, right? Career, vocation finder, career finder, strengths finder. Just Googling those terms, you can spend the rest of your life looking at all of the resource information available.
With that one comes with a code. If you buy the book, it comes with a code. You do the test, it tells you what you are. You read the book, it makes more sense.
Who's the author?
Tom Rath, R-A-T-H.
Yeah, Nationwide Insurance uses that for the entire company. Good, good book. Okay, anything else? Psych coach.